Hello, everyone. It's the Jarek Bryan Show. My name is Jarek, and on today's show, guys, we got a special guest. We're going all the way to Avalanche, AVAX, and I got 1/3 nerd from MadSkulls here, and also Chikn as well. 1/3 nerd, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's fun to pop out behind the PFP once in a while and be a real person. So appreciate you having me on, being able to chat. Always happy to chat about MadSkulls, Chikn, and just NFTs in general.
Oh, no, man, this is great. I'm glad to have you on. I love going cross-chain, man, and hanging out. So definitely, this is the very first AVAX project I've had on the show. But before we get into all that, 1/3 nerd, what exactly has kind of been your journey all the way here, your Web3 journey all the way here to today?
Oh, well, it's actually been almost exactly 2 years since I kind of got into crypto Web3. It's funny. I've worked as an artist my entire life and wound up working for some company doing art, which was a change for me. I was always self-employed. And when things went bad with the job, I decided I was going to try and find something different. And I thought to myself, maybe I could do this whole crypto thing. We were in the middle of the 21 bull rush then, and everybody was making money. And so I jumped in and I made one promise to myself on that first day. I'll never forget it. One promise. Whatever I do, don't buy any NFTs. And at the time, I actually had a small little hobby farm out in Vermont, and I had chickens. And I got onto Twitter as that's where the pulse of crypto was, Web3, everything. And, I'm just scrolling through one day and I see these NFTs of chickens. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I can make a friend. So I took a picture of one of my real chickens and I posted it on Twitter. And they retweeted it. And so they invited me to their Discord and we wound up chatting. And it turns out it was an NFT project called Chikn. And so it was funny because they became my friends, and I examined what it was that made me not want to buy an NFT initially. As an artist my entire life, specializing in functional art, I think what really deterred me initially was I didn't see the value proposition of owning an image. Even if, not that whole right click copy paste thing, but even still just owning that token, I didn't really understand the draw for it. And with Chikn, they built a project that was centered around utility. The chicken lays eggs a currency, powers the entire ecosystem of the game. And that kind of wound up being my sort of I don't know what you call it, my asterisk. It was okay, don't buy an NFT unless it has utility. And so, I aped in on Chikn, and it blew up. It became fastly the #1 project on Avalanche. And because I had been such a strong supporter of them from the very start, I kind of got recognized along with the project as they grew. And so I started, taking on kind of community roles for them, whether it was moderator or creating content, running giveaways, stuff like that. And so after a while, I kind of had this doubt to myself that was I just lucky? Was I just good luck that I happened to make friends with the project that happened to be good? Could I do it again? Could I find a project that would be successful? And so I looked and got rugged by a few, and I found MadSkulls, and I found MadSkulls really early on. They had done a launch back in February of 2022, which was their baby skulls mint, and that was what started the project. It was a limited mint of 500 that would form the foundation. It basically got their treasury rolling, allowed them to develop and roll out the real project, which was MadSkulls, the full project. So for me, when I'm looking into investing into a project, I look for three main things. Do I like the art? Are the developers driven, and is community active? Those are my three main things. And there's kind of a fourth thing, which is really the icing on the cake, and that's, is there misplaced FUD? At that time, are people fading the project? And because it had been taking a while for the MadSkulls launch to happen, and it was happening soon, people had started kind of dropping off. And so I saw this great opportunity to buy in with baby skulls and just joined the project like anybody else. Bought a couple baby skulls, jumped into the Discord, started chatting with people. There were some other Chikn people there, so we wound up making friends. And yeah, it didn't take long for me to realize that MadSkulls had everything going for it that I loved about Chikn. And so after spending some time there, getting to know the developers, getting to know the community, I introduced the two projects to each other. Literally put them in a room, in a Discord room, the developers from MadSkulls, the developers from Chikn, and got them talking and left. And so yeah, that's when they decided to partner and work together. And not shortly after that, they asked me to come on and take a actual role with the team for MadSkulls and focus on community growth. So that's what I've been doing for the last few months, really trying to either grow into Polygon or grow with projects on Polygon or on Ethereum, or do collaborations with other projects on Avalanche, because we have a lot of partner projects that we utilize for staking inside MadSkulls.
Oh no, and that's great, man. It's a very long journey, right? And kind of like the same kind of journey I kind of took too as well, especially the rug part too. But
if you haven't been rugged, you don't belong here.
Yeah, exactly. So as you said, you're an artist, right? And has kind of like your opinion kind of changed on the kind of like the whole tech of NFTs as a whole now? Or like what's kind of your opinion on, one, the outlook, right? And two, like where do you think it will kind of all be in the next like 5-10 years? Do you think adoption will happen with NFTs, or what do you see it as?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot. So I actually launched my own NFT project, which was phygital. So it was a combination of physical and digital. I work as a glass artist, so really hard to translate that to NFTs, being a physical object. And so I wanted to see if there was a way to bridge that gap and utilize the technology that is available with the blockchain to enhance a project, to enhance a series, to essentially make people that collected that series be able to communicate with each other, get a reward, have a mechanism for connecting the community that collected the work. And as I did that project, it's called Glass Coils, I really re-examined everything that I knew about NFTs. And it's funny because I'm still heavily involved in the glass art world, and talking to pipe makers in particular about NFTs, it's funny to see how easy it is to shift their opinion once they realize the benefit or the use to them. So, like I said, when I first came into the industry, I just saw it as an image and a token. I didn't see the connection that the blockchain provides, or even the fact that so like for example, the pipe industry uses Instagram almost exclusively to sell work. You take pictures of it, people comment, sometimes you run an auction or whatever. Talking to glass artists in particular, saying, hey, that's essentially your art. You created that photograph and then you just gave it away to Instagram. Utilizing NFT technology, you can do all kinds of amazing stuff, even with just the pictures that you're taking. It acts as a catalog, or as a way to establish provenance. If somebody were to get one of the glass coils that I made, they could digitally look it up and match it with all the metadata on the blockchain. So all the information about, details to verify the piece, or, verifying that it's part of the collection, that's all forever locked into the blockchain. And so, and that's just one little tiny aspect of it. I could ramble on about all the different ways that, especially with physical artists, can utilize NFT technology.
Yeah, no, so it basically, like Chikn and some of these other projects kind of like changed your mind in a sense.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that was what it was that initially when I saw NFTs, I only saw them as one thing. And I think a lot of people do. They get stuck with the image. And I think once you recognize that the blockchain gives you the power to do this an incredible amount of things, which are very useful to the artist that wants to be able to connect with their collectors. You start kind of unraveling, like there's an amazing amount of utility even inside, just an art token. So, MadSkulls has a utility with staking and DeFi mechanics. Chikn has utility with, passive gains and foraging and all these things you can do. But even if you have something that is just a visual PFP, there is function behind it. There is utility behind it. And that was something that, I didn't know at first, and I'm still learning more about every day.
Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of same way it kind of changed my mind too as well. I was totally against them, but then I was like, you know what? I do see kind of the reasoning behind the tech. But, you're over here, you're an Avalanche, right? AVAX, right? And kind of like the whole ecosystem, I think it just doesn't get talked about enough, right? And you kind of share that kind of same kind of sentiment too as well?
Well, I think we all feel like the underdogs here. Polygon's included in that as well. And I think that, AVAX is absolutely not talked about enough, but I'm proud with a lot of things that the team is doing. And they are working really hard on stuff that is like 5/3 nerds or bigger. Like I can't even wrap my head around some of like the technological stuff that they're really putting out there. And so I think it can be frustrating sometimes if you're in one little piece of that whole pie, like NFTs, and you say, oh, we're not getting the credit and the respect that we deserve, so on and so forth. And it's like, well, a rising tide lifts all ships. And I think that, Avalanche is going to have its day in the sun more. And so, I think that we'll just be a part of that, and I do think that people are starting to discover AVAX NFTs more. They're starting to see the ecosystem, and, we really have a vibrant culture and community over there. And I think people are starting to discover that. So it's one of those things that'll take time, but it's happening.
Yeah, Amazon, like I said, Amazon partnered with AVAX, right? There was that kind of partnership too. So definitely, I do think that AVAX is going to get their kind of like time in the sun though. But as we kind of go back to like the two projects you hear kind of talking about with Chikn and then the MadSkulls and everything like that, like let's start off with Chikn. Like what exactly is Chikn, right? And what are some of the cool things you can do in the whole like kind of like Chikn ecosystem?
So Chikn is a lifestyle. I mean, let me put it to you this way. I got ink on my fucking arm here with my Chikn. And our little creed that says, Chikn is our lives. If we'd rug, we'd have nothing to live for. And so that's the biggest part. Number one for me is the community. The community of Chikn is amazing. I mean, we've gotten together twice in Barcelona. I can't even begin to go on about how much that community truly means to me. And despite all the things I'll talk about that are incredible that Chikn can do, nothing will ever beat that community for me. But basically what Chikn is an entire gamified DeFi. It's really the easiest way to describe it. It started all with a Chikn. So we know in our world, at least in the Chikn NFT world, that the Chikn came first. There was a Chikn mint on Avalanche almost exactly 2 years ago. After the Chikn launch, they launched the token behind Chikn, which was egg. And so the way that it was emitted was every day your chickens would lay an amount of egg token based on the weight of that chicken. And you could stake egg and Avalanche to generate a currency called feed. This feed currency was what you fed to your chicken to make it bigger, to make it lay more eggs. So it actually encouraged compounding. It encouraged, taking some profit, maybe converting it into feed, maybe putting some into egg AVAX LP. But it was this entire game. Now, here's the important thing to know about early Chikn. Feed was a finite token. There was only a defined amount of those available. So everybody was trying to get the chicken the fattest they could, the fastest they could, to produce more egg currency. Egg is the foundation of the entire Chikn ecosystem. So The more egg that you can produce, the kind of more of an advantage you'll have. After Chikn, they launched, was it Rooster next or Farmland? My brain's locking up on me. It was Farmland, I want to say. Farmland is a part of the Chikn ecosystem. Everything that I'll mention with Chikn all fits together, kind of dovetails. There's Chikn, there's Rooster, and there's Farmland. So what Farmland does is it has two major functions. And this is important because Farmland will be coming to Polygon. I know that for a fact. What Farmland does is it will allow you to either forage for resources that can be used for crafting NFTs, or it can be used for what's called gamified LP farming. So, as I mentioned before, in order to generate feed, you would have to provide egg and AVAX liquidity. Well, Farmland added a new variable to this. You could use a token called FERT, which came from Rooster, to increase the multiplier on your farmland. So essentially how it works is if you have a base farmland, for every egg that you would have, you would generate 4 feed. But you can increase that multiplier up to where it was 16 feed. This was really important because it added this whole new aspect of tokenomics into the entire thing. Rooster launched in the middle of all of this, and Rooster is similar to Chikn, but it squirts FERT. So chickens lay egg, Rooster squirt FERT. And both Chikn and Rooster can forage on farmland for resources that can be crafted into NFTs. That mechanic is what is being brought to more places. So Cockfight is still in development. It should launch. They keep pushing back the date a little bit. There should be a open alpha or a closed alpha before the end of the year. But Cockfight will bring all of this into a fully player versus player gamified experience. But in the meantime, we're foraging for items. We're foraging for resources to be able to craft NFTs. And what's going to wind up happening is Chikn will be expanding to Polygon and bringing farmland with it, having partner projects that can also forage on farmlands and find resources to craft NFTs for those specific projects. So essentially, let's say Drill Club, they could have either a special NFT or some kind of special trait or something that only could be crafted through foraging on farmland. And the Drill Club monkeys, I guess, could go out there and forage for resources specific to that project, giving a way for projects to kind of add unique utility without having to create it all themselves, and kind of trying to create a community of communities that allows multiple projects to be able to forage, find multiple different resources, and craft different NFTs, all which have a different purpose. Some might just be a PFP, some might be a utility in a game. There's all kinds of different things that people have that they'll be able to craft. Sorry, that makes sense. So I kind of rambled on that one.
No, hey, that's totally fine, and I totally get it. And so Chikn coming over here is actually like a big deal, right? It's a very huge project and whatnot. So will there be like another mint, or you're just kind of guys are kind of just bridging over the Chickens over here, or is you said like the farmland, right? Is that going to be like a kind of like a metaverse type land? Like you kind of go a little bit more into that?
Similar. So some of the details they're still working out, but basically what we know for certain is that Chikn will be expanding to Polygon with what they're calling Chikn X, and there will be a new mint. There will be a re-roll of the original traits, but you will not be able to have the same combination. So whatever of the original 10,000 that were minted, there will never be a duplicate of that. They're secure. But there will be a reroll of traits. Now, the chicks on Polygon will be a little bit different. They will not lay egg. What it is they will lay is very much a hot point of speculation right now. There's a lot of theory about this. We know that they will have similar mechanics in the sense that there will be a feed game. They will emit a token, but nothing else will ever generate egg other than the original 10,000 Chikn. That's very much a line in the stone, I guess you could say, that like Chikn will never devalue that original collection by allowing anything else to emit that token. What these new chicks will be able to do, first of all, is forage, and second of all, be used for cockfight. And I think that they're going to have a very important role in the ecosystem involving XP or XP. This is kind of one of my favorite things about Chikn is all of the wild conspiracy theories, because the game has so much going on to it. But for example, one of our community members created a project called eggburn.xyz, which examines all of the tokenomics of egg, fert, feed, and all of the NFTs. They just released an 80-page report yesterday. 80 pages. 80. 80. Search for yield. And we love them because it's exactly the kind of thing that big money, big VCs, big projects are going to look at and FOMO. Because when you really look at the data about Chikn NFT over the last 2 years, I mean, they've known nothing but a bear market, essentially. We've burned over $30 million worth of tokens to play this game. And we're still excited to burn. I mean, we burn thousands of dollars of tokens every single day for Chikn NFT. So Farmland, what's been announced and what's been revealed and has come with a bit of controversy is that there will be a default farmland available. And what that'll mean was, right now, to own a farmland, it's an NFT that you have to buy on Avax. What resources are on that NFT are tied to that NFT in particular. You are able to craft resources. For example, so there's 10 resources. You can buy an item or craft one yourself to have a vaxium, dark matter, gold, whatever. But a default farmland will come blank, but will allow anybody to forage and to use. So they don't actually have to own the NFT to be able to play the game. So there will be a default farmland available for Polygon projects or for Polygon players. There'll also be a default Chikn that will allow them to sort of forage. So essentially, you'd be able to burn a little bit of egg, maybe a little bit of fert, and go off and forage and come back with resources. So that way you don't have to make a big investment into the game before you see how the mechanics work, see what the value proposition is to you. Because people go really over the moon for like all of this data and the amount of like it's crazy. You can really go down a rabbit hole like trying to figure out how to maximize foraging or maximize a particular resource. So Chikn is one of those projects that has a lot going on to it, so it can be a little intimidating. So the idea is to kind of give somebody a little taste of honey, if they will, before they have to go in for the whole beehive. Because it can be daunting to new players sometimes. As being a mod in the Discord, I see it, and it's amazing to see people make that leap and have that understanding. And it does take a little bit of time to really understand all the mechanics that are going on in play here. But that's what's exciting about Chikn. That's what's kept us, involved in it for 2 years without them having an active game yet. It's just because of how, engrossing the, resource management and, foraging, feed game, all of these things have been. So it'll be exciting to kind of run it back with Polygon. Like, a lot of us are really excited to have feed wars again, which we have no idea, what tokens will be used, what tokens will be emitted, but we know they're going to be running the same mechanics. So CCIP gives us the ability to use cross-chain egg or use cross-chain feed. So what token may or may not be created, we don't know, but we know that it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, no, and it sounds super exciting. I definitely got to get in on that Chikn kind of mint when it comes over here to Polygon. I definitely, like I said, it's a very not a complex ecosystem, but it's like very well thought out. Like, with the whole like farmland, the different like tokens and everything like that. I'm definitely a huge fan of that too. But you did bring up something that sparked my interest too. Yeah, basically kind of like you said, a game, right? Is that the cockfighting game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what's that going to be about?
Cockfight. It'll be just what it sounds like. I mean, well, maybe depending on how dirty.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
But no, it'll be chicken versus chicken. Rooster versus rooster. Rooster versus chicken. There's a lot that has been kept under wraps, even for me. Well, especially for me, because they know I'll blab my mouth if they show me anything. But there's been a few screenshots leaked. There's been a few mechanics leaked. But essentially, it is going to be an on-chain Web3 player versus player, all-out chicken warfare, with these guys' kind of zany sense of humor and these really amazing, amazing IP. That I can't wait to see everyone be able to experience, and that's going to be built in a way. I think one of the really difficult aspects is trying to balance rewarding your community that holds your NFTs, but also being easily accessible, like free to play style accessible. So I think they're putting a lot of effort into trying to dial that experience in, so that if somebody who's got no financial interest in the game can just pick it up and start playing it, maybe enjoy it, and maybe it will, be something that they could, kind of like with microtransactions, buy some egg or buy some feed and continue to play. But if you are a holder, you generate those currencies, so you don't have to necessarily buy them, but it creates a greater value for you because more people are utilizing them. So, and that's just my idea, but I know that they are fine-tuning that, and that's something that's extremely important to them, is getting the right tokenomics for a sort of free-to-play game.
Oh, man, yeah. Like I said, kind of like looking at it, right, and kind of seeing everything kind of break down, like, can't wait for it to come over. I'm definitely going to want to try to, like, win OG and win whitelist them to death on that. So
I'll get you on that. Don't worry about that. I got you.
Thank you. But also, like you said, like this is a very, I like how, like I said, I like everything that this thing is about, and how the marketplace and everything like that, it has kind of like laid out for it too. But also like MadSkulls as well, and basically like what's kind of your, like you said, your role there, and what does exactly like MadSkulls actually like do exactly?
So MadSkulls is its own beast, but it, I always say it kind of came together like a zipper with Chikn. So both projects, when they were still in their roadmap phase, when they were still planning, they had planned to partner with other projects. That was what both of them had intended to do. And they both had different mechanisms to do this. So with Chikn, you've got foraging. You've got this really cool gamified engine that is similar to staking. Instead of staking them, you're sending them out to forage for 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever. But the idea being that they're locked up, they return with something that has value to you. MadSkulls did something similar, but in a completely different way. They have portals, and so MadSkulls, when they minted, there was a total collection of 6,666. Of that, only 6,000 were minted, and the last 666 are what we're actually minting now. 333 are on Polygon and 333 were on Ethereum. We call them the missing ones because they were missing from the original mint. But what MadSkulls can do is stake inside portals and generate one of a number of different currencies. So the project itself has a very interesting tokenomic system. What it is it's called, well, I don't know what the name for it would be, but it's a token called Flesh that the MadSkulls would generate if they go into the MadSkulls portal. And what Flesh does is it's non-transferable, has no liquidity, has no cash value, but it atrophies at a rate of 1% per day. which means that 1% per day gets converted from flesh to our flesh. Our flesh is rotten flesh. And our flesh is the currency we use for everything inside Skull City right now. So to open up more squads for staking, to open up more slots for staking, to contribute to, we have a thing called builds, which is we have like 3 releases that we're planning at a time, like skins, arcades, and a new portal. And we'll list them on the page, and people can contribute our flesh or flesh to speed that up or to make that particular launch come out first. So what's neat about this, you actually contribute flesh and it gives you a reward back in our flesh. So it's kind of an incentive to do that as well. But basically this our flesh token, because it's time gated the way it is, and because you can't buy it, it winds up being something that only rewards the community, right? Some whale can't come in and just buy up a bunch of our flesh and open up 30 slots and send 5 skulls, 5 squads of skull staking. It has to be done slowly, and it's been being done slowly. Over the last year and a half, we've been quietly, staking and chilling and opening up more and more slots and more squads, which has now become important because we have all these portals opening up. So, like I said, the first portal is called Earths, and that's the one that has flesh. The second portal that opened up is a Chikn's portal, our first major partner, and that produces a token for Chikn that you can generate. We've now opened up a portal with Salvor, which is a fantastic marketplace on Avalanche. It has a lot of amazing, ingenuitive features on it. That rewards a token called Art. We have one coming out for BlockPay. We have another one coming out for lovemonster. And what I love about it is that we're not just tied to NFT projects. We're able to have portals that are DeFi projects and reward DeFi tokens. And this makes it really attractive to be a MadSkulls holder because you're able to get, sort of this early alpha about these projects. Like all of our people knew about BlockPay before it even hardly launched. Like it's still in pre-buy mode right now. So you get this kind of early alpha on projects. You get a little bit of knowledge about them because I have them on the weekly spaces I do, so people get to learn about the projects. And then they have a way to generate the tokens without having to put any money in, just by setting their skulls out. So it winds up being really useful to, like I said, just kind of get a feel for different projects, get a little currency in them all. And we have some amazing partnerships coming up that really are spanning from, like I said, everything from DeFi protocols, marketplaces, to other NFT projects.
Oh man, that's super. Like I said, you guys got a lot going on, man. And you guys are also having a collection here on Polygon that's currently, at the time of this recording, minting right now, correct?
Yeah, so the missing ones mint is, like I said, half of those ones that were part of the original collection that went missing. Mm-hmm. And it's currently available for 120 Matic, I want to say, at m1z.madskulls.io. That's MadSkulls with a Z. Mm-hmm. And as the time right now, I think there's roughly 60 or so left. And it's also still minting on Ethereum. What's really amazing is that using Chainlink CCIP, you're actually able to, if you're on Avalanche, actually mint to either chain without ever leaving. You don't have to bridge over to Ethereum to mint from Ethereum. You can actually use Avalanche native on the Avax chain to mint to either contract, which is part of the reason why the Polygon one's going faster, because the gas fees on Polygon are like 2 pennies.
Yeah.
On Ethereum, it's like $30. So,
yeah, I'm not paying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, just why, like the gas fees, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I just don't want to pay that extra little bit though. But the artwork is really great too as well. It's very like unique and everything like that. So I totally dig that part though. But I know you can't really like, kind of like speak for everyone, right? But like, why did the team and, on both sides, right, with Chikn and MadSkulls, why did you guys kind of like choose kind of like Polygon to come over here and kind of hang out with us?
There's a lot of reasons. You're right, I can't speak for either team, but I know both teams very well. and I can say what I would think for the decision why they would do it, essentially. Mm-hmm. There was a point about a year and a half ago where Polygon and Avalanche were about neck and neck in terms of NFT volume. And Polygon has steadily increased while Avalanche has steadily decreased. And to me, there's a reason why. It's not purely because people prefer purple over red. There's something that Polygon is doing that is effective, that is working. And until I started really spending time in Polygon spaces, I didn't know what that was. And now I see it. And now it's crystal clear to me. And I think that both projects maybe saw an opportunity and started to kind of test the waters. And what happened, especially with Polygon, is they were extremely welcoming, extremely helpful. For example, Love Magic Eden, Love Comet, either one of those projects I can easily talk to. I think that MadSkulls, we just listed M1Z for secondary market on Magic Eden, actually. And it's just been, it's so great when you go into a new area, new chain, and expecting it to be difficult, expecting it to be an uphill battle, and you find instead that it's extremely welcoming, it's extremely friendly. And I think that's a lot what it had to do with. It probably was like, okay, yeah, let's do this, and then when you start testing the waters, you realize like how welcoming Polygon is. And so that's why what's really crazy is that we all found this out at the Avalanche Summit. So I don't know if you know this, but this is kind of crazy. So Chikn is the #1 project on Avalanche. Yep. By far. I mean, Chikn, Rooster, and Farmland make up 3 out of the top 5. And at the Avalanche has a summit every year in Barcelona, where they have the last 2 years. This past year, Chikn was given a major time slot on the biggest stage to give their keynote speech. And they came up there and they gave their keynote speech. They previewed some screens from Cockfight. They talked about everything that they had done. They kind of said everything that they were doing. And then when their time ended, their slide came up, Chikn X, and they said, "We're expanding to Polygon." And announcing that at the Avalanche Summit, I mean, you can only imagine. It was controversial, to say the least. And I think that they had to spend a lot of time convincing everybody that no, we're not leaving. We're just, we're expanding over to Polygon. What's funny is that Polygon has been so welcoming and the people over there have been so friendly that I don't think that there's even that same stigma anymore. I think it's more like, I think other projects are seeing it now too. And I think that there's going to be a lot of projects expanding into Polygon, and hopefully coming to AVAX as well. But I think that with CCIP and some of these other multi-chain technologies becoming available, it'll be a matter of just kind of skate to where the puck is going. And like I said, I'd love to see AVAX make some moves in the right direction, and I'm be busting my ass to do the best I can for AVAX NFTs. AVAX is still my home, but I'm more, I don't want to say loyal, but I'm more loyal to the projects than I am the chain. MadSkulls and Chikn. And it's not really about what chain they're on, it's what they're building, what they're doing. And both projects are building and doing things that are going to continually expand over the next 3 to 5 years at least. So that's all I'm focused on. But yeah, I'm excited about Polygon, to say the least.
Oh, that's great. Even as a holder, that's great because I don't know, for some reason, especially with youths coming over, I know a lot of the youth holders were up in arms about that, and it kind of sucked right here and there, oh, why Polygon, right? Because you kind of feel like the family member that kind of no one really kind of wanted. Oh man, yeah, oh man, why do I gotta go with them though? But kind of like, kind of your outlet. I'm asking kind of like a two-part question, like on both ecosystems, right? And as far as like, the whole, it could be also with NFT and also the whole other parts of the ecosystem as well. Like, how do you think both will do? And kind of like in this next kind of like bull run, do you think both will be kind of thriving, or what's your take on both the AVAX and Polygon ecosystem?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, I might be a little bearish on the AVAX NFT scene right now, but not in any way on AVAX as a whole. I think that Avalanche has some tremendous advantages that have yet to be fully understood by the small scale investor. And I think that as some of these partnerships, these real world assets and tokenization start, making headlines and swallowing up large amounts of capital, there'll definitely be a FOMO, sort of avalanche, if you will, with the price. And I feel similar to Polygon. I think that Polygon has done a really good job at positioning itself coming into this next bull. It's got a real, I feel like AVAX has something to prove, whereas Polygon's still kind of the underdog. At least that's kind of my way of looking at it from outside, which is I'd rather be in that underdog scenario than that, instead of having constantly have something to prove. And I think that Polygon is very well positioned in that regard. They're making the right moves. They're bringing over fantastic partners. They're really making phenomenal headlines. So, I see both chains doing extremely well in the bull. I wouldn't speculate a price, but I would definitely think that, both chains are going to be extremely successful if they keep doing what it is they're doing right. Like I said, I'd love to see AVAX right the ship with some things with NFTs, but man, they're killing it when it comes to other aspects. Like they've really been doing a good job, and so has Polygon. So yeah, I feel very bullish about both chains.
Oh, okay. And I'm gonna kind of go like, well, here in a little bit, I'm gonna be kind of throwing it back to the MadSkulls. But before we're gonna get off this subject too. Besides, Chikn and MadSkulls, is there like any other projects in the AVAX ecosystem that we should be paying attention to?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of NFTs, one of my big metrics right now to look at is how have they survived over the last 2 years? What have they had to do to survive? And there have been some tremendous projects that have really shown their strength and their merit over the last 2 years. One of the first ones, and I'll admit, I'm not even a holder, is Monkeys. I love Monkeys, Monkeez. They did so much with so little that is truly impressive to me. Another great project, one of my favorites and one of my really good friends, is called Cloudheads. They're currently minting their elementals, and really amazing project with phenomenal art from Mr. Wonderland is their artist, and some amazing cross collaboration in the works. I know for a fact with projects like MadSkulls, perhaps with Chikn, and some phenomenal one-of-one artists. So Cloudheads Elementals is absolutely one being slept on. Sausagers is another mint. It's in mint right now, wildly underpriced at 2 AVAX a pop. That'll probably mint out today or tomorrow. So it probably won't even be here by the time this is recorded, because people have finally caught on. It's been sitting there for mint for, almost 3 months. And in the last couple days, it's been like boom, 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 selling, because people realize how amazing the art is. Been slept on the whole time. And I know I'm missing a bunch here, but Metropius is one that I got a shirt on here for.
I see.
Yeah, very cool project that has suffered greatly during the bear, but they keep plodding along. They're actually in the process of creating a pilot for an HBO animated show based on Metropius, and they have a board game in the works, as well as something gamified for Metropians. So that's a very slept on project. And yeah, I mean, I could keep going and going, but for DeFi, I'm a big fan of Trader Joe. very great DeFi protocol. Their pools are phenomenal. Very easy to just kind of set it and forget it with auto balancing pools and stuff like that. And BenKey.finance, BENQI. I use them all the time for sort of locking up and borrowing against my AVAX with USD or something to leverage. It's basically borrowing and leveraging your Avalanche or any currency you want. Those are my main ones that I use.
I don't know, man. That's, like I said, I'm gonna have to definitely look into some of those, definitely, and see what kind of like AVAX is all about. I definitely love going kind of like cross chain. But as we kind of go back to MadSkulls, right? You guys you did mention like mini games, right? And are some of these mini games like available like on mobile or anything like that? And what are some of them?
So MadSkulls actually started as a Web 2 app developer, and they have developed a lot of products for their clients before they came to Web 3. And one of the last things they did was make a couple of really amazing games for the App Store. So they have Hamster Break, which is a brick breaker game, and Duck Tap, which is an endless runner. Both of those are available on the App Store, but they aren't Web3 enabled. Currently, they have games ready to launch, which are just kind of small little mini games for inside Skull City. But because they come from a mobile development background, they've actually been spending a lot of their effort working with Chikn on getting the foraging, the new updates to Chikn's website, the new UI changes, UX changes. So a lot of MadSkulls development has actually been dedicated towards Chikn at this point, because the two projects, they really do work together. It's not just like we'll pump your NFTs if you pump ours. Like they actually work on each other's projects and stuff like that. So we do have some games coming very soon for MadSkulls, but currently the only games available are just from the developer.
Okay, cool. And then also too, like kind of like one of the last things I kind of noticed as well is like Skull City. Like what exactly is that?
So Skulls.City is our sort of metaverse home for everything MadSkulls, and currently it's a central location where you can either stake your skulls, or you can open up slots and squads. You can participate in weekly giveaways for baby skulls. They actually have every one of my weekly Madcasts, which I do every Monday, are all cataloged there on Skulls.City for people to kind of go back and listen to old episodes. We also have our validator there. So one of the really cool things about MadSkulls, I don't mention enough, and I really should, is that every single bit of the mint treasury is still held by the project. All of it was locked up into an AVAX validator, which generates a return, but you can actually go and look. It's fully transparent to see that, 100% of the mint fees are actually still locked up in that validator. And we have a link to that on Skull City.
Man, that is really cool, man. Like you guys got a lot of like cool things kind of brewing and all of that, man. Like definitely AVAX is 100% like kind of like slept on. And kind of like in the sense of as like kind of like a holder or anything like that. Like did you have any kind of like reservations about like kind of going cross chain, or what's kind of your opinion of projects going cross chain?
Not at all. I mean, I'm older than I look, man. Like I came from the AOL era,
Yeah.
I remember internet being on this sort of, guide rails. Like, okay, you're going to stay inside of AOL, or you're going to stay inside of Yahoo or NetZero. And people didn't like venture out into the World Wide Web. But eventually that took over, and that was, I used to say in AOL, the internet went from a button to where eventually, you went directly to the internet, and AOL was just a homepage. And so I think the same thing is going to happen with blockchain. I think that a big reason why I went to Avalanche in the first place was because I saw the multi-chain, potential with them. And I think that they're one of the few chains that is really set up to handle multi-chain very well, especially with other EVM chains like Polygon. So I'm 100% for going cross-chain. I think that especially at this point right now, it's a great opportunity to find the gems, because the projects that are still thriving and still keeping going at this point clearly have something that's going to push them forward in the bull.
100% believe that too as well. And kind of like one of the questions I also want to ask too, because you're a holder too, right? And this is kind of mainly kind of like my kind of like first kind of go around in like this like really like bear market, right? In a sense, right? Like, one, how has this bear market treated you, right? And two, is this the worst bear market you ever been a part of?
So this is all my first full cycle. I joined crypto October 2021, was it now, I guess? So this is the worst bear for me, I could say.
Yeah.
It hasn't been too bad though. And I owe almost all of that to Chikn and MadSkulls. That's why, when you asked me about it, the first thing I mentioned was the community. The community, these are my friends. These are people I care about. I talk to regularly. I know about their families. They know about my life, and we keep up with each other. And I think that community and that level of friendship was something that has been invaluable, not just in terms of, the bear market financials, but just in the crazy state of the world over the last 2 years. I think it's funny that the most sane conversations I have are about JPEGs of chicken that lay digital eggs. Yeah. But, I mean, that's the way that it is. And so, financially, Chikn did phenomenally well for me. I literally invested $4,500 into that project. And even though at one point it was worth well over $250,000, it sustained me and lasted me. And I was able to continually to grow my portfolio to where, I'm able to come into this next bull, feeling pretty good about myself, feeling pretty strong. I've got a bunch of chicken, bunch of roosters, a couple of farmlands, a whole stack of MadSkulls, and now I'm loading up on Polygon NFTs. I've been going over there, scooping up one or two every day. So a lot of really cool projects, a lot of cool people over there.
Oh, man, we love to have you, man. We love seeing you around in spaces and everything like that, man. Like I said, you've been a nice kind of like breath of fresh air, and we totally love that. Now, as far as both projects, but I know you, like I said, you can't really speak for both teams though, right? But as as someone that's a part of kind of like the whole community team and a part of a holder as well, where would you like to see both projects a year from now?
Oh, 100%. I want to see them in the real world. And I mean that in the sense that I got a MadSkulls hat. I made this myself. This is a secret alpha leak, but you can announce it if you will. I'm actually working on a prototype of a Chikn board game, physical board game. Ooh. And so, I think where I want to see it is starting to get more into the real world. I want to see partnerships with brands and locations that are, normie approved, if you will. I've actually been joking about trying to get this cool little trendy hot dog shop to sponsor a trait, because it'd just be neat, It's this little hot dog shop in Troy's got an NFT trait. But so that's a big part for me. Going to Barcelona and seeing everybody. Chikn and MadSkulls had a dual party. They rented out a club. Seeing that in the real world was one of the most satisfying experiences. And so absolutely in ways like what Pudgy Penguins is doing, and ways like, what other brands starting to do, like it's a Metropius is also working on a board game. I want to see Chikn and MadSkulls enter, the real world, if you will.
Oh, no, man, that's totally great. And I hope they do. And before you go, right, is there any community members or any kind of people you want to shout out, or any last things that you want to say?
There's an absolute ton of people that I would love to shout out, but I'm going to try to keep it short. You absolutely have to have Sherby on here. Sherbach, he's the founder of Chikn. And I mentioned him, I was coming on. He said, dude, give him my information. So I'm sure he'd love to be on.
Oh, 100%. I'll have him on.
Yeah, he'd absolutely be able to talk to you much probably clearer than I can about explaining Chikn. But everybody from the Chikn team and the MadSkulls team, if it wasn't for the work that they put in every day, I wouldn't have anything to sit here and talk to you about. And the development team, or sorry, the moderator team of both projects, keep them going. Like, I have some awesome mods to work with me on Chikn. Stevo and Nifty, Mythone, Elga, and there's another one that I know I'm missing one right now. I'm gonna feel like an asshole later when I forget it. But the moderator teams, QDog and PyWeb over at MadSkulls Aerox, another one. Just phenomenal people that are just busting their butt every day to make it a welcoming and friendly place, make it a safe place, free of scammers and stuff like that. And, while I'm here, absolutely got to just shout out Matic, man, over on Polygon, because if it wasn't for him, he really opened up a lot of doors for me, meeting people like yourself, and the guys doing spaces, really, shoot, my brain's locking up on me. I want to say Van. Another one, great space that I always love to see. Cassandra and Marie from Women from Cosmos. They're all people that I'm starting to get to know and look forward to hearing their insight on whatever the topic of the day is. Because I really enjoy these Polygon spaces a lot. That's why I try to make it to one every day.
No, man, come on, man. And also too, we're having Cassandra and Matic, man, coming on the show later on this month. But definitely with the Sherbach Homes, right?
Yep, Sherbach Homes, yep.
Yeah, I definitely would love to have him on. And I appreciate you coming on and chatting to me about AVAX and Polygon, man. I really do appreciate you coming over here and sharing your time with me.
Thanks, man. Me as well. I really appreciate it also. It's great to see people producing quality content like yourself. There's not enough video content out there, especially. It's definitely nice to, remove the PFP for once and have a face. So, I appreciate that a lot, man. I appreciate you having me on, and we welcome you all to AVAX, and we're excited to meeting you guys over on Polygon.
Yeah, man, I'll come over there and hang out on AVAX too, and some spaces as well. Whenever I see you on some spaces and some of the other projects too, if you know any, of course, we're always in DMs. I'll go ahead and pick your brain about those. But guys, this wraps our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe, download. Follow me on X at Hey It's Jared. Follow 1/3 Nerd too as well on X. I'll have all this stuff pinned down at the bottom. Follow Chikn. Follow MadSkulls. Follow the whole AVAX ecosystem. And guys, I will see you around on the next one. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.